You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
The snap, the kick, it's been blocked again! Oh my! It's been blocked again! He's going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! Oh my! I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw, pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's Corey! It's Corey! Got a touchdown! Corey's got a touchdown! Oh my! Corey's got a touchdown!
Hands it off to Harmon. He comes back. Say goodbye.
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out a winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. It's your boy Corey.
It's Dan.
Delatorre.
Oh man, nobody knows Jordan's here yet because he's on mute.
And your boy Jay Scar, what it do, y'all? My fault.
What up, 2-5?
Yes, sir.
Same corner, same time. Spring football in the air a little bit. How y'all feeling? Y'all good? Solid weekend?
Yeah, it was a good weekend. It was up in Beantown. It's cold, very, very cold up there. Shout out to the people online that gave me some great recommendations of places to go. And then thank you to the one guy that asked me if I was related to Nate Bargatze. I'm not, but appreciate it. I like to think I'm as funny as him. Corey didn't think I was.
Shout out to Dan, and notoriously one of the least racist cities in the country.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
No,
one of the least racist people in the world, which I wholeheartedly agree with.
No, cities.
Well, no, don't backtrack on the other comment either, Nick. Anyway, great time.
Dan is funny. Dan is funny.
Great time in Beantown. North End pasta always hits a little bit differently. And just a little word of advice. We saw this at the bar. If you are somebody that doesn't normally take nicotine in the form of Zyn pouches and you've been drinking a bunch, don't do one. You might collapse at the bar. They might have to call an ambulance. So just be careful with your vices. That's just a little advice that I'm going to give for the crowd.
Nicotine enhances everything.
You almost died, bro?
No, it was not me. It was not me.
Oh.
A hand on the Bible, not me. It was somebody at the bar. So how's everybody else's weekend? Enough about Zyn overdoses.
Good weekend. Baseball. I was at the 2 wins against Miami Sunday. You'll see the content on Florida Victorious. I've always been a sucker for like a good father-son story. But I remember my senior day. Jordan doesn't because he skipped out on us, robbed us of one more year of 2-5 in orange and blue.
Right.
But always been big into senior days. So we did something really cool, really special for the 3 guards, Elijah Martin, Walter Clayton, and Will Richard. In the process of editing that, was out shooting that on Sunday, but some dope content that as the director of content, glad to be able to do some cool stuff that isn't just writing about what happened at games and practices.
Very nice.
Yeah, I had a pretty chill weekend though. Friday was a good one. I actually headed up to Gainesville for my event. That actually went pretty good. I think we ended up selling over 25 bottles. I think like 27 in total. Pretty good for me. Was happy with it overall. Had some couple signatures, couple pictures of some Gator fans who came in there. Yeah, it was a pretty chill weekend. Ended up heading back that same night. So just a quick little turnaround trip for me. I was going to stay for the basketball game and stuff the next day, but I'm like, I probably should.
I'm back.
Yeah. Those are pretty overall.
What does, now that I'm in my new job, I'm seeing the signatures a lot, and there's some people don't put a lot of thought into their signatures, and I get it. If you're having to do a couple thousand of them,
right? You really maybe
you've gotten a signature and a B signature, what does the Jordan Scarlet signature look like? Do we put any thought into it? Can I tell that it says Jordan Scarlet?
I think so. I just do the little J, and then I'm gonna give you the whole Scarlet. I'm not writing out everything.
J Scarlet. Okay.
Yeah, just a little J Scarlet.
Do you drop a number on it? Did you used to drop a number on it?
I usually do the 2-5, just because my Gator fans love the 2-5. But yeah, for the most part, it's either 2-5 or no number at all.
What number would Dan put on his signature, Corey?
37.
37. It's a brutal number.
Is he froze?
No.
Say what?
Oh.
And your signature.
Sorry, no, I'm sorry. I'm texting with Spencer about a production issue. Anyway, go ahead.
For the hundreds of people, possibly thousands, that ask for your signature on a yearly basis, do you drop the number on it as well?
The 29 at the end? No.
29.
I don't. No, I do kind of find it still, a lot of people do it in the bathroom, shout me out.
Whoa,
so
you
don't normally have a free hand, to give out the signature, but no, never had to give an autograph, other than Uncle Sam, maybe a check back in the day, but nobody's ever asked me, surprisingly. For you all,
I'm gonna start putting the number on mine when I just sign for random stuff now.
Just a random number.
You're at the bank.
Nobody says you can't. So
you're at the bank and it's Corey Knowles 7.
That's right, Jordan. Nobody says that you can't, right? Because you just start adding it to be like,
sir, is that a number? What is that after? Yeah, you asked for my autograph. I used to wear six. Back in JUCO, 97, wore number 6. You got it. I got you. I can see a fan from a mile away, Miss Baker.
Yeah.
I knew you were.
I'm definitely gonna do that. I didn't do anything special this weekend, man. I was very chill. I'm just in daddy mode, man. So it's college decision time, SAT, proms, like all those shenanigans. My son had a 7-on-7 tournament. They got mollywop.
Oh.
Yeah, they didn't do good at all, man. They got a lot of talent, but the quarterback just wasn't on his game early on. They tried to make a couple comebacks late in games, but it just didn't happen. But overall, man, solid weekend, just family vibes, man. Nothing crazy.
Excellent. Well, we got a lot to talk about today. Let's get a quick Brunt ad read, and then let's talk about everything that's on the agenda today.
Will do. Before I get started, man, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe, all of that, man. If you're on Twitter, hit retweet, hit the heart button. It don't cost nothing to show love. It's free. One time for the great folks at Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. Give my guy Greg a call at 954-589-2204 for a free quote on home insurance, auto, motorcycle, life, anything that you RVs, ATVs, whatever you got that has wheels, he probably can insure it from the Panhandle to the Keys or in the Southeast in general. 954-589-2204 or visit him at bruntinsurance.com. Free quotes, don't cost a dime.
Greg, what it do, baby?
All right. So before we get on to the show, I do want to talk about the DJ Lagway event. This time next week, we will be doing our live show with DJ Lagway. So, Corey, why don't you kind of remind everybody where they can still get tickets? You go to djlagway2.com, but just kind of give a primer, I believe, of the event next Monday.
Yes, like Dan said, the launch of the DJ Lagway Foundation is going to be at Spurs Gridiron Grill next Monday, 6 p.m. to 9. Tickets are still on sale. Support your favorite football players, support your favorite podcast in a philanthropy type way. It's going to be a live show with us. We're going to have some other guests as well, and we'll probably announce that before. Matter of fact, next week's show, we got to reschedule that. Now that I'm thinking about it, right? But pull up, grab a ticket. We're having a live show. It's going to be some auctions going on of art, memorabilia. They got some giveaways of I don't have all the giveaways, but it's a lot of gadgets, technology, products, merchandise. I don't have the exact rundown, but it's going to be product giveaways, silent auctions. Like I said, live show. The who's who of Gators will be there. Steve Spurrier is pulling up. Of course, my man, Fish is big. What's my kicker guy name? I'm forgetting the guy.
Johnny Townsend.
Johnny Townsend is pulling up, man. It should be a lot of Gators in the building. I think Kevin Taylor's pulling up as well. Scarlett's going to be there, the whole crew. So, man, y'all tap in with us next Monday night, DJLagway2.com. There's also a way to contribute to it if you're not attending and you want to give back to the cause, there's a link on the website to do that as well, man. Tap in with us, Stadium Miguel, next week at Spurriers, man. It's a whole Gator vibe. I almost forgot my man Johnny's name for a second.
Yeah. Shout out to John. Yeah. After this, we'll never forget Johnny's name. Go visit DJLagway2.com. Again, DJLagway2.com for tickets or other ways that you can support the DJ Lagway Foundation. And that event will supplant this podcast next week. So if you're a YouTube watcher or watching on X, we will not be live here next week. I don't believe. I think that we're going to kind of push out production. Maybe we'll do something together beforehand, but we plan on getting a lot of content, beautifully done content for you guys. So again, DJLagway2.com. Go support QB1 in his philanthropic efforts.
I ran into Jackson Raymer. Jackson Raymer purchased 2 tickets, him and his better half, his beautiful girlfriend, and he will be in town. Jackson was pumped up, so pumped up, in fact, that he reached out to me today, spelled his own name wrong, and was asking if I could fix how he spelled his name on the reservation for the ticket. And I said, honestly, you spell your name wrong, you got to live with that one. You're going to have to that. You're going to have to take home whatever placard they give you for your seat. That's on you.
It is a reminder. It's a reminder, though. Jackson, shoes are required at this event. I know that you like the ground, and I get it.
My dog on the ground. You just ground before you come in there.
All right. So,
but that should be a good event. And for a good cause. DJ's not the first, first athlete to have a foundation or to give back, but really, really cool for. I think, kind of Johnny's done it after he graduated. He wanted to do it while he was an athlete, but the NCAA at the time, Jordan can attest, don't be a good person.
Pretty much.
Don't try to raise money for kids with cancer. You can't do that. You'll lose your eligibility. Glad that we're in a place now with NIL where we can, see guys like DJ Lagway being able to give back to their local communities, whether it's back at home where he's from, or right here in our community here in Alachua County. And there's no better cause than UF Health and raising money for kids who are sick. It's I don't know how pediatric nurses and people do that kind of line of work, but kids haven't done anything to be sick. So it's good to see some money going towards them.
Absolutely. So again, DJLagway2.com. You can get tickets. The event runs from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. Again, March 10th, next Monday, 6 to 9 p.m. Proceeds are going to benefit UF Health. DJLagway2.com. Come hang out with DJ Lagway, a bunch of Florida Gator legends, as well as your favorite podcast. All right, gentlemen, spring ball is going to start on Saturday. But before we do that, want to run through the NFL Combine here. So that just wrapped up. UF had a total of 9 players out of the 329 that were invited to the event. Graham Mertz, Montrell Johnson, Elijah Badger, Shim DK, Brandon Crenshaw Dixon, Cam Jackson, Samar James, Jason Marshall Jr., and Jeremy Crawshaw. So just want to run through a few just notable highlights here. Shim DK ran a 4.34, which is the 3rd fastest among wide receivers. Nick, going to give you an opportunity here to mention that you mentioned many times on this show that Shim DK consistently got faster throughout the season. So you've had a lot of wrong takes. So let's get you an opportunity to kind of stand on top of the mountain.
Well, this, as much as I'm not a guy to take credit, I will be the guy not to take credit. I told people
that he's not taking credit.
Well, I'm actually not going to this time.
Because you didn't run the 40, but
it's not in my character to take credit for things.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Staying in character, I told you guys that I got the numbers and the data from Florida when I did the inside interview with Tyler Miles and watched the workouts. I was just handed a packet filled with data. So I kept saying that Chim was getting faster and telling you I'm reading it. I'm reading it from the catapult that he was wearing across his chest while running. I'm not making it up. I'm just reading the data. I didn't know. I was also surprised. But people only want to hear what they want to hear. So shout out to Chim for making the data that I was reading make sense to some people who didn't think he was fast. But yeah, it wasn't even my take. It was just
my take on him. What I think, and like sometimes too, is like as we as Gator fans, Urban Meyer lied to us about a lot of 40 times. So we have some PTSD, man, of just workout numbers and whatnot because Urban lied to us. But I think Billy G, he gets a lot of flack about his recruiting, which the players come in that way as well. But for some reason, the fans want Billy G out here. The majority of the fans. But I think Billy G does a good job of teaching these guys how to separate. I don't think he ever came in slow. I just think Billy taught him how to. Cause I think J. Michael Sturdivant, the kid from UCLA, it says 10-300 meter on his time from high school. When you look at his tape, he don't separate well. Same thing of the tape I saw with DK at Wisconsin. He didn't separate well. Like every tape on his highlight film was contested catches. So I was just like, man, this kid might be slow because he don't separate well. I think Billy G does a good job of teaching these kids route running, how to set their routes up, and how to separate from DBs. Man, I think J. Michael Sturdivant is going to have that same type of elevation in his game for the same reason, man. But, yeah, good call, Nick. I thought he was slow.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I don't think any of us thought that he was going to run a 4.34. That's an incredibly fast 40 for him. He was moving. So shout out to him. He's a guy that was not originally invited to the combine. I don't believe he went to the Aloha Bowl, did really well there, got invited to the Senior Bowl, did well there, and then earned a combine invite from that. So talk about a guy that went from, I don't know, borderline undrafted. I don't know where he falls on the boards, but now he's a guy that is turning heads and at least has a lot of opportunity for himself to be able to prove himself at the NFL level. I think we saw a massive jump and improvement out of him this season. And, I think if you look back at the spring game almost a year ago to now, just the rise of Shim DK in terms of the way that Gator fans look at him, and he's going to go down, hopefully as a great, NFL player, or at least getting a guy that has the opportunity to succeed in the NFL. So shout out to Shim DK. His gauntlet run looked great too. I'm not sure if you guys saw that.
Yeah, he killed it, man.
He was glued to the line. Jordan probably had to run that gauntlet, and you're not thinking about keeping the feet on the line. You're thinking, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it.
I probably thought I had a DUI there. No, I'm just playing. But overall, man, I'm not too surprised when guys kind of hit big numbers at these combine, man. Like you kind of are trained for 60 days, depending on where your bowl game is set at the end of the year. So you're really going every day, kind of preparing for just really specific drills, 40, shuttle, like you said, gauntlet, your bench press. So I feel like this is how it was with my process. I kind of focused on my strengths and kind of try to make my strengths more better. And then on top of that,
big dogs barking.
Right? Yeah. I wanted my strengths to become better because I knew that was something I was already good at. And then as well, try to hone in on your weaknesses. So I feel like overall it would just result in you guys just having a good product and doing your thing.
Yeah, Brandon Connell let us know that you ran a 4.47, 21 reps on the bench. So never want to take that away from you. But yeah, no, and I don't think that Shim DK was never not explosive. I think there was a comment about that. I don't think that he was ever a 4.34 guy. That's very fast. I did not think that he'd be the third fastest wide receiver at the draft. It's no slight on him. But he tested out of this world. There's this account. It's at Math, M-A-T-H bomb. So at Math bomb, his name's Kent Lee Platt. And so he does these relative athletic score updates. And he ranks Shim DK's combine performance, the 70th out of 3,408 wide receivers in the combine from 1987 to 2025. So he had elite speed on the 10-yard split, 20-yard split, 40-yard split, elite vertical and elite broad jump, and okay on the composite size grade. But a 9.8 is absolutely incredible for Shimdike. Never taking flowers away from him. I think it just shows how incredible he did and how impressive this combine was for him as a guy that was not combine bound and was going to the Aloha Bowl.
Yeah, man. Combine all together. Our strength and conditioning program like flexed a little bit this weekend. Everybody balled out. I don't think anybody underperformed. Montreal, from some of the stuff, I'm trying to find the tweet right now, but they said overall workouts, running back since I think like early 19 something, he was like 50th overall. Like,
I'm gonna get to that one here in a second. Elijah Badger 4.4 340. He was ranked at MathBomb as 249 out of 3,408 wide receivers from that 1987 to 2025. I'm not going to keep saying that year. I'm just reminding everybody. So he had great on his 40-yard dash and 10-yard split, and then good for height and weight. And then his vertical was decent. He didn't do a broad jump, so he did not score there. Montrell Johnson, Corey, you're right. 53 out of 1,909 running backs. Elite speed. He ran a 4.41 40-yard dash with a 1.55 second 10-yard split there. All considered elite times. His broad jump was considered elite. His vertical was considered good, and his height and weight were considered good as well. Montrell Johnson 4.49 on the 40-yard dash. None of these guys did bench press, so we're just going to talk about 40-yard dash because if I tell you broad jump or vertical jump, it might be too abstract. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, and that was something I noticed definitely this year, but the last 2, maybe 3 years, like guys just opting out of stuff, not like quarterbacks being like, "Hey, I don't want to throw. I want to throw in a more controlled environment." I think we gave that a pass. But like Jordan will tell you, back when he was at the combine, if you skipped a drill, huge red flag. Like, what do you mean you're not doing this? And now it's just kind of like we're just happy guys are choosing to like participate in some stuff. Like in terms of what the guys did, we first lost quarterbacks. You're going to start seeing like receivers being like, nah, I'm not feeling running that drill, or like guys being like, nah, I'll run the 40 at my pro day instead. That's cool. It was weird to me to see how many guys, not just Florida guys, but how many guys across the board were just like, nah, bump that drill. I'm not doing it.
I think that prevailing thought will be around for some things. I think that opting out of a lot, unless you're like a Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, whatever, that kind of top 5. I still think it probably will be looked down upon. What are your thoughts, Jordan? I mean, you did the combine. I have no experience at the NFL combine, surprisingly.
No, yeah, honestly, feel like if you're not like top 5, potentially top 10 pick, like you really have no business in opting out of anything, to be honest. Like you should be trying to do anything to boost your stock to get to that top 10 pick area. But obviously, if you're in the top 10, it's like having a bad day or a bad drill can make people scratch some heads on you. Like you go out there, you've been running 4.4 your whole training, and then you go out there and bust a 4.53. It looks bad now, and like stuff like that. Or even just think up a drill, drop a ball or two, and all of a sudden they question how good of a player you are. Even though on tape they know you're a baller. So I think for the guys who put the pain in during the season and kind of made themselves into that top 10 pick based upon their gameplay, those should be the only guys really making the smart business decision to opt out. Because you opting out and you're really not that guy. It's crazy.
Not that guy, pal.
Right?
I don't know how it benefits like some of the guys, like not, and this is like no troll stuff, but the guys from Miami, like there's somebody in our chat saying none of our guys bench. I don't know how true that is. I'm a 40 guy. I'm 40 broad jump, vertical jump, and I'm out of there. I don't even really watch the catch gauntlets and all that stuff. I just want to see the explosiveness and the speed. But like some of the Miami guys that sat out, like if there are some teams that already question your speed and then you don't run a 40, you're probably gonna fall down draft boards, bro. Like, so like there's no helping you without working out. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you run a bad 40, you're gonna drop on boards. If you don't run a 40 at all, you're gonna drop on the board. So you might as well just run. You know what I'm saying? So what teams at least see you got some dog in you a little bit, man. But I think folding on an event and just sitting out to protect stock, like Jordan said, if you're not a top 10 guy, what are you doing? You know, like you still, it's so many sleepers in the draft every single year that could just pass you.
For real.
Like Shim Duque.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, you're 100% right, Corey. But I did check that out, and no Gators did do the bench press today or this weekend. Pardon me. Jason Marshall ran a 4.49, 41.55 second split. Again, Kentley Platt had him ranked with his relative athletic score 239 out of 2,480. Great on. Great in vertical and broad jump, good in speed. His height was considered great, and then his weight considered good. Shamar James ran a 4.69. I thought that was an impressive score for him. And then you think so?
Yeah, I think Jordan, running is, you got to know how to run. Like all of his other. When you watch his tape, he gets sideline to sideline fast. He covers tight ends and receivers very well for a linebacker. And you look at his broad jump and other things you're going to talk about, you just see explosiveness. I think he's going to run a better time at pro day, but he just got to, I think, come out of the blocks a little bit better and just work on his how to sprint. But I think he could hit 4.5. I had him penciled in at like a 4.5.
4.5. Okay. Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, they've got another couple of weeks before Gator Pro Day, and obviously all these guys. Jordan, where did you go to train?
I was out there in Davie perform.
Okay.
Shout out to Nick Hicks, baby.
My God, I've been with my dog since 9th grade. I couldn't go nowhere else, man.
Yeah, Nick had a bunch of guys up there, including Mason Taylor, who absolutely showed out. STA Pride.
100%.
Yeah, Jason Taylor's kid.
Buddy, he's got some
recruited him to be a tight end.
He's got some DNA. Uncle is Zach Thomas. Dad is Jason Taylor.
His aunt
definitely got some good traits in him.
The Fox Sports bicycle? No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Jordan knows. Just look it up. You know who I'm talking about, Nick. Joy Taylor? No? Is this all news to you? You didn't know they were related? Oh,
AB said he was out there catching balls like his auntie.
That's yeah. A family show. Nick's got to go.
No, that's hilarious.
That's good.
I don't think that's AB running that account, by the way.
Bro, AB's an absolute animal. Oh my
God. That's nuts. All right, we've got
a rated R this week.
Yeah.
I was talking about football, guys. What are we talking about?
Yeah. All right. So Cam Jackson, 5.17 there. I thought he had a decent day, especially in the there was a hula hoop type of drill. We had to pick up a towel and drop it and move around kind of a figure eight. I don't know what any of these things are called, so feel free to correct me or call me an idiot, both of which are true. And then Brandon Crenshaw Dixon, a 5.33. So ultimately, there's a guy named Cortland L.M. Griffin who studies the combine and reports on it. Thought that he was a very healthy surprise in Indy and put a lot of really good things on film at the combine. So shout out to all of these guys. Big weekend ahead, big opportunity for them to secure their future in the NFL draft. And then Gator Day is in the next couple of weeks. We're going to bring on Trevor Sikkema in a few weeks to talk a little bit more about the NFL draft and what the Gators prospects look like, or the those that are played for the Gators going to the NFL, what their prospects look like and where they might be drafted. I do want to visit a couple of things in the comments. Some good commentary in there right now. Again, if you want your question for sure on the show, Super Chat's open. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button. R. Dean P. said, if this draft class does well, do you think it speaks well of Billy Napier's evals? Corey, we'll start with you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Even with development is a different thing. I think Wisconsin definitely played a part in developing DK and also like Ricky Pearsall, those guys coming in. But nobody's seen these guys, like even Ricky Pearsall, nobody thought he was a first round talent when he got here. But they're taking the guys. So that's all evals. They're big on verified speed. So I don't think Shim DK came here slow because Billy not going to bring you into the Heavener unless you got that verified speed, bro. So yeah, the evaluation is on every level from high school all the way up until like the guys he brought up from Louisiana. Of course, you got Cam Waits. We'll see how he plays out this year. But the guys he brought up from Louisiana did well. The high school players, we're seeing them get on the field fairly early and make plays. He's been, I think making good evals. I've been saying it from go. I don't think this staff has any issues with evaluating talent or bringing it in. I thought we was a 10-win team last year, talent-wise. 4-3. If I knew Shim DK could run up 4-3, bro, you know how crazy I would have been talking about Billy after some of these games? Yo, send him down the field, fam. Like, what? Send him down the sideline more, cuz. Are you tripping? 4-3? Yeah, I need him more on deeper routes.
Real quick. Sam Graham did not participate. Physically not ready yet, but being like we talked about last week a little bit towards, I think, the end of the show, whenever we were talking about it. Good to be at the combine. Jordan shared some combine stories about the interviews. More important, especially for a quarterback at the combine, they're going to put you up on the whiteboard.
Definitely.
Explain your plays. Here's a play that we run. I need you to draw this up. Watching some of that stuff. I forget the show they did. I think it was ESPN maybe. But like they asked Jaden Daniels to draw up his favorite play and then interviewed him for like 30 minutes. And then out of nowhere, Brian Dable was like, hey, draw that play up again. And just like out of nowhere, just had to draw it up again. Stuff like that. Stuff like that's going to be more important than a quarterback who's got 5 years of film. Hey, man, you know what kind of player I am. You can cut on any one of the 60 games I played in, whatever the number is. They want to get to know you more. So good for Graham to be there in Indianapolis. I would say so. Getting back to your question, Dan, I would say so, though. They found Montrell out of nowhere, a guy who had 3,000 career yards. They got him to Louisiana, got him in. I think another great one they had was Osiris Torrance. I had a scout come up to me, saw me walking into a game, and he was asking about Torrance. And he said, this is the worst body I've ever seen. I was like, Coach, I agree with you. Almost looks like if you put mashed potatoes into a Publix bag. Like the body's not good.
That's
but he moves men. Like you put a man in front of him and he puts that man into a different position. Wherever he wanted that guy to go on the field, that's where the guy went. And I go, I don't care what the body looks like. Cut the film on. And he just went through an entire season without allowing a sack for the Bills.
He still haven't given up a sack in his whole career so far.
No, he gave up 3. He gave up 3 as a rookie.
As a rookie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 3 as a rookie, and then last year
I think he was a rookie All-Pro.
Yep.
And then this year he was in the Pro Bowl, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little quick investment.
I mean,
not bad. A bad life to have.
Something like 500, 600, close to 600 career passing protection snaps for him, and he's given up 3 sacks.
Crazy.
You've got some guys you're going up against there in Buffalo. Then you look at guys like Chim. I think Graham shut us up, all Gator Nation up. I even told Graham that. I was like, dude, I was one of those people that was like, what the hell is Billy Napier doing going to Wisconsin for a quarterback? Go get me one of those corn-fed offensive tackles from Wisconsin, but certainly not a quarterback. And I think Graham shut us up. I don't know what his NFL career looks like, but he was certainly productive for Florida. And then you look at other guys. I think as Billy enters his 4th year, guys who he maybe recruited out of high school that we're going to start to see, even more so than just the transfers that we saw. But yeah, I think they have a good eye for talent. Like Silk said, it's all height, weight, arm length, hand size, verified speed. It's always impressed me how Billy's able to rattle that stuff off. But yeah, I think they have a good eye for talent. As a staff, they enjoy that. They enjoy breaking down film and finding guys. They understand that at Florida, you can go find the diamond in the rough, but they also are going to Germany and to England to find these 6'7", 330-pound offensive linemen who we haven't seen them yet, but like Enoch Wangoy, Noel Porteyagen, these are guys that they think they hit on, but you're literally teaching them the sport of football. They just have the body and the size. But yeah, I think the evals have been good.
Porteyagen. Thank you. I've been pronouncing it wrong for all these years. Porteyagen.
Porteyagen.
Going across the pond for offensive line, we got to slow down a little bit. So I see some fruit.
They got the best offensive lineman in a country. There's something to be said for that. Possibly the best player in the country.
Possibly the best player on the continent.
I don't know the rivals' rankings for Germany, but possibly the number 1 player in the country was signed by the Florida Gators.
Well, I think you can look at Graham Mertz, probably not invited based on his history to the NFL Combine until he comes to Florida. I don't know if Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon. I mean, hands up accountability here. There wasn't a lot of excitement about Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon going in to this season. Certainly was a guy that was fighting for an opportunity to start until the 3rd game of the year. So there was a lot of question marks about him. There was some coaches that we talked to that weren't necessarily as high on him. But he's a guy that was at one point, I don't know where he finished, one point ranked as one of the top 20 tackles in all of college football last season. He earns himself an NFL Combine invite. So certainly you can say a lot about the evals. You can say a lot about development. Now it's a matter of putting all of that together into more victories. Any more thoughts on the NFL Combine before we move on?
Disappointed in the lack of participation across the board for the Underwear Olympics. That's all.
Okay. Future prospects. Nick wants to see in your underwear.
He said he heard it here first.
I'm just interpreting what you said. If I'm incorrect, his face says
how's he gonna do a cheek check, Dan?
Yeah, that's a good point. He is our cheek check.
That was
guy.
part of Urban Meyer's process. And who am I to say that a Hall of Fame coach, a soon to be, hopefully, Ring of Honor,
I think it's coming,
recipient for the University of Florida. I love how exclusive the Ring of Honor is. If Percy Harvin can't get into the club with what he did, then that's an exclusive club. Urban Meyer, I think right now, is the only eligible Florida Gator for the Ring of Honor. About time he gets in. If he is telling me that a cheek check is part of his evaluation process,
you got to look at ass too, huh?
Yeah.
Who am I to say?
Yeah,
Coach,
I mean, Nick's not coaching
wrong.
or developing players, but whatever he's got to do. I've done a cheek check before too, Nick. It's just not usually football players. All right, guys, we ready to move on?
Thought this was a family show.
No, don't try to rope us into what you had going on. 2-5. Don't try. We're talking football evaluations. Lord knows.
Hey, what do you think?
Nick's
what do you guys think holding Percy Harvin back from getting in the Ring of Honor?
He doesn't have the credentials according to UF's Ring of Honor credentialing, like Fred Taylor.
Are we gonna do this again about Freddie?
Do that again.
No. We're just saying, if
Fred were to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that would make him eligible for Florida's Ring of Honor.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, there's multiple different things that you have to hit or have. Nick, you gonna pull up that Ring of Honor for us?
You're on mute, bro.
Well, it's loading. Criteria to meet consideration. You have to be a Heisman Trophy winner, Spurrier, Warfield, Tebow, former All-American who was also inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. That's Jack Youngblood. Former UF All-American who are NFL career leaders. That's Emmitt Smith. Collegiate career category leaders. So if you broke the college record for rushing yards in a season or career, not a season. Coaches with UF.
Broken, they take you out.
And you're gone.
You don't meet the criteria.
Kick him out of the club.
Yeah, sorry, pal.
Coaches with UF national championships. Right now in it is Spurrier. Urban Meyer falls in with that criteria. Coaches with at least 3 UF SEC championships. Does Herb have 3 or 2?
He has 06 and 08.
2.
That's it.
Only 2, but national champion he's in. Players with 2 or more consensus All-American honors. AP, Walter Camp, Sporting News, AFCWA, FWAA, UPI, who have also been named National Offensive or Defensive Player of the Year by the same
let
My
person
dreams
know
of
he's
Jake Slaughter making it in after next year are probably pretty slim.
Well, he would also, yes. So Jake Slaughter would need to be a consensus All-American, which he was not. He was only named a All-American by one outlet. So you would have to be consensus. So there's 6. So you need 4 of those 6, 2 straight years, and you would need to be the offensive and or defensive player of the year in one of those 2 years. So the likelihood, if Jake had even been a consensus All-American last year, the likelihood of a center being named the offensive player of the year, low.
Well, they don't want. They're hating on your special teams people, though, Nick. Special teams wasn't included.
Yeah,
you be a 3-time special teams consensus All-American, be the special teams player of the year, and
buddy, I would pound the table. I might even go up there and put my own statue, put my own letterhead up there that said
Nick's
Johnny
Ring of Honor.
Townsend. Yeah. The Ring of Honor that
Nick's
they
going to
might give
spend
me
extra on the statue of the buttocks.
Listen, if it's good enough for Herb, it's good enough for me.
Hey, there's a lot of stuff that was good enough for Herb that's not good enough for me. You know what I mean? All right.
I wasn't trying to go there, but
hey, big fan of Shelly Meyer. All right, guys, let's get into spring football. That's going to start this Saturday, right, Nick?
I believe Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday, practice 1.
Okay, practice 1, and then there is a Saturday morning practice. Okay. All right, let's
practice for they have 1 week off, but they practice Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays every week.
Okay, perfect. All right, before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Go visit homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout. You'll get 20% off of your order and free shipping. It is the best place to get vintage logos. They are releasing a whole bunch of new items in their storefront daily for UF and for over 100 different schools and for the Indianapolis Colts. So go visit homefieldapparel.com. We appreciate their sponsorship for, probably 2.5 years now running. So go visit Home Field Apparel, use that promo code, and get that really cool jersey that Nick's holding up for baseball.
Hey, coming back in March or April. Confirm that for us.
March. It's coming out in March. So this month, we are in the month of March.
They said March or April, but the baseball pullovers, this baby blue one that is beautiful, will be releasing March or April. Dan says March.
I'll be at the baseball game Sunday. Come hang out. They're playing Harvard. This is a Harvard of the South. I'll be there on Sunday. But all right, guys, let's get into spring football. Again, the Gators are going to start on Thursday. They're going to be in helmets, no pads for the first 3 practices. So that will be Thursday, Saturday, and Tuesday, as our British friends would say. All right, guys, what are you most looking forward to about spring practice? Let's talk position battles. Let's talk all of that. But what are you guys most hoping to get out of? What's your theme of spring practice besides health?
Yeah, you're going to see, I think, secondary specifically, a lot of wounded warriors, a lot of guys dealing with injuries, post-season surgery, stuff like that. I'm most looking forward to not getting kicked out after 15 minutes.
Flex on it, Nick.
Yeah, that's fine.
Looking forward to being there for the whole thing. Putting that up on floorvictorious.com, dropping some nuggets here on Stadium and Gale. Tight end, I want to see how that shakes out. I think
Of course you do, man. I tell you what. You know,
them tight ends, man.
Well, you lost Arliss Boardingham. You get Hayden Hansen back. And
This is a childish show sometimes, man.
tell you what, you can't believe you guys allow it.
oh, hold on. Well, we just got one of the guests said he's good to come on. I'll throw that in the chat for you, Dan.
Oh, very good.
But tight end, it's clearly a 2-person job. They love running 2 tight end systems. You lost Arliss Boardingham. 3. Well,
mark me down for 3, bro. What do you mean?
Caleb Rios? Who is it? Who's the guy that fills in after? Is it Livingston? Amir Jackson had a teeth fit in his sophomore year.
Yeah. I like Jackson to jump that depth chart a little bit, bro.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think he's the biggest pass threat at tight end since Kyle Pitts. He can flex out wide and do some different things to become a matchup problem. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how he develops, man. Weight room wise, what he looks like physically, he looked good coming in. So we'll see. But that tight end room is definitely a 3-man situation.
Yeah, Amir Jackson, the 4-star that was in the last recruiting class.
Yeah, they've spent a lot of time with him on blocking. He is like the Kyle Pitts mold. He's a guy who might not be asked to even block once you get to the NFL, but when you're running this system, you're going to ask your tight ends to block. Even Arliss Boardingham was asked to block. So for me, how does that shake out? I think receiver, you've got a ton of new guys. You've got a ton of talent in that room. I'm excited to see J. Michael Sturdivant. Linebacker, you got a ton of talent. You're replacing Shamar, but between Jaden Robinson, Ty Jackson is a guy that the staff loves. Pup Howard, you got a bunch of guys there. Cornerback, who's healthy to play, and who will we see? Another guy I'm really, really excited to see is Lagonza Hayward. He's a ton. I hear about him a ton, whether it's from Billy Napier, Tyler Miles, who I did a sit-down interview with today. Just a name that keeps popping up. Lagonza Hayward. Excited to see him because the staff doesn't normally gush about players like this before they see him with the pads on. So interested to see him.
I got him in my notes. The thing for me is I'm just excited to see the young boys leadership-wise take over. You know, it's been a culture change, you know, and some of the leadership before was a lot of guys that Billy inherited. Now that he has some young killers in there that have high, like he recruits guys with leadership qualities. So seeing the Miles Grahams of the team and the DJ Lagways kind of take this thing over a little bit and start leading. So I'm ready to see. I know they're going to, the media team is going to edit that thing up for it to show that, you know, via socials and whatnot. But that's the part that I'm looking for. You know, we're going to get into some position stuff that Dan got on the notes, but I'm ready to see a leadership change and see what that looks like from DJ, Miles, Graham, those guys leading the way.
Yeah, Jordan, unmute, my friend.
You're on mute.
Still on mute, Jordan.
My fault. But I'm most interested in seeing the D-line / linebacker, outside linebackers, man. I want to feel confident in being able to stop the run this year. So I want to see those guys come out and have a good spring, man. Hopefully we get some young guys step up and surprise us with their talent so we can be like, okay, wow, I feel better that we got depth again because we lost some guys at D-line to the draft and to the transfer portal. So for me, I'm really looking close at that D-line and kind of see where we at as far as the trench work goes. So I'll be seeing what them boys doing. I know my boy Sapp gonna have it locked down. He's gonna be a good leader out there. So we'll see what the young guys got going.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We're going to do a quick pause on spring football here. We're going to welcome. We have a special guest that's available right now. I know that he's a busy guy right now. So with that, we are going to welcome Chuck Jeroloman, who is the associate head coach, for UF. This is his sixth season at UF. Came to the University of Florida from USF. And just an incredible background, incredible history. If you don't know much about him, please go check him out. Also a Broward County boy, so that's 4 of us here on the show. Oh, well, I guess he's from the 561, Corey.
It's Palm Beach.
From Wellington.
Let's go, man. What we talking about? You trying to steal our shine. What's up, Chuck? You look like you 561, man.
Yeah. Through 2561, still 3954. So from Wellington High School, went to Auburn.
You from Wellington? How do I know you, bro? Like overall, I went to Wellington my 9th grade year, man.
We'll have to see who you guys know in common. So, coached at Palm Beach Central High School from 2008 to 2011, then went up to TCU, then the University of Jacksonville, USF, and then has been at Florida, like I said, going into his 6th season. Chuck, welcome to and was drafted in the 21st round of the 2004 MLB draft by the Boston Red Sox organization. So welcome to the show, Chuck.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Chuck, let's get right into it. Why are you telling the guys to strike out so much, and how do we stop you teaching them that?
Yeah, no doubt. We try to work on swinging and missing as much as we can.
Now, I tried to get Dan. The last time I got the guys up for a baseball game was 2 years ago, Miami. Yeah. And I think Miami's right fielder still hears Dan yelling at him. From the berm. He certainly caused a couple errors. But just wanted to ask you about this past weekend. A record crowd for a weekend, including a record crowd Saturday night. I remember looking up and thinking, I can't even see the grass on the berm. What was that like just down there on the field to kind of look up and see more than 9,000 people at Contingent?
Incredible, man, especially for a regular season game. I had to go back and check it out because I felt like the super regionals were our record crowds. I can't believe we outdrew our super regional games that we had against South Carolina. And you know what, Nick? Like, honestly, every other time I felt like we've had an unbelievable crowd, numbers-wise. There's been a rain delay. So this was like the first one of those times we had a really banging regular season crowd show up, and there was no delay. And they all got to experience us against Miami.
What does that series mean, to you guys? Florida over the last, decade and a half or so has really dominated that series. And at one point, I know the series is now tied up, but at one point you guys came back from just an unbelievable deficit in terms of the number of wins Miami had over Florida to now you guys are equal. But what does that series mean? And I know that obviously it's a rival, it's in-state. A lot of these guys get recruited by both schools, but Miami probably isn't the team that most Gator fans are used to Miami being from, 15, 20 years ago. It's still, I would imagine, very easy to get up, for that game. But how do you get your guys from not getting too hyped up to play, maybe a Miami and just, stick to the fundamentals? That's a long-winded question, my bad.
No, you're good. you're trying to put, if you got to get up for this game, then you're probably not ready to play the other ones. Right. And, every weekend kind of moving forward now, we're getting ready for SEC play. There's kind of steps and levels to this thing. We're trying to prepare yourself for the season. And then we're getting ready for opening weekend. And then we're getting ready for like our first road test, which turns into a midweek game. And then you're trying to build and get ready for this Miami weekend. We're trying to get ready for SEC play. And at the same time, you mix in Florida State and UCF and Stetson and JU, these teams that we play. There's no cupcakes, man. Not in our state. Everybody in our state can play baseball. So, yeah, these guys, they're very familiar with each other. I think that's probably the biggest thing for our guys is they're so familiar with the other guys on the other side of the field. And a lot of them were absolutely recruited. This year was a little bit different because, I had Blake Sierra on our roster, and he was at Miami for the previous 2 years. So I think probably meant a little bit more even than it already does to him and some of our guys trying to make sure he ends up on the right side of this thing after this weekend. And, there are a couple guys that we had that were recruited heavily. One of them was committed to that school at one point in time. So when they get opportunities to go up against them, it definitely means a little bit more for them.
Yeah, that's been kind of me trying to educate Florida fans that, it's not football. The baseball talent in the state of Florida, and previously with 11.7 scholarships, it made more sense with bright futures and prepaid. You're getting guys who are throwing 96 miles an hour on Tuesday night when you're trying to get some freshmen some work. And you've got some senior from USF who's pissed off that he didn't get a Florida offer and just wants to shove it up, where, against the Gators when he gets a chance to play. And it's interesting to see how the transfer portal and the 19 years you get to play college athletics now with COVID and lawsuits, kind of how that dynamic is shifting. But like this week, it's UCF, who I think is 10-1, and FAU, who's 6-3, and I'm sure both of them have arms, and you'll face some guy throwing 96 out of the bullpen in the 8th inning of a close game.
For sure, man. I mean, the difference in our sport and then these other sports, is we can't let Cags hit every single at bat, right? Like, we can't decide we want Wyatt Langford to just stand in there and face every arm. We can't sit there and have Liam Peterson throw every single game for us. Just not the way it works. We can't decide who gets the ball all the time. We can for periods of time. It's just not the way our sport's built, So, and yeah, you could run into a tough arm. It happened short started, which we have happened kind of at times this weekend. Our bullpen got a little bit taxed, after the first 2 days. But it's a completely different game, man. That's why we play 56 of these things in the regular season.
Chuck, what is the identity of this Gators baseball team? I've seen a small ball a little bit. I know we got some big sticks as well. What do you think the identity of this team is?
We just want to have a bunch of different ways to beat you. And not having to do it any one which way, I think that's what's going to make you a really well-rounded team. I mean, we've shown the ability to pitch. We've shown the ability to play defense. And offensively, we can run the ball out of the yard. We can play a little small ball and bunt some baseballs, and we can steal bases in a bunch of different ways. And I think we talked a lot about it as a staff. Sully's done this thing, have more experience than anybody, man. He's built this thing to what it is. And, you guys sitting here talking about kind of the changes that have happened with the record against Miami, that doesn't happen unless Sully's the head guy here. I mean, he's the one that's really turned this thing around. I think it's 18 years now he's been here doing this thing, and his record against those guys is pretty strong, man. And in our league, as Sully says it all the time, in our league, it is power arms and power bats that win our league, and that is the truth. And if you have deficiencies, are going to show up over the course of the season. But then you go out to Omaha and the wind blows in about 20 miles an hour. You can't sit here and rely on a 3-run homer. So it's not going to do it, man. You got to have some guy like Jack or Wyatt and cut it through it every once in a while. But the yard's so big, the gaps are so big, the wind's blowing in hard at times there. We ran into that a couple times last year. And honestly, we ran into it in 23. Yeah, no doubt. We ran into it in Omaha last year. We ran into it again in 23 in the first game against Virginia when the wind finally kind of died down late in the game. Wyatt and Ty and those guys hit some big homers for us. But, having multiple ways to score runs, there's not just one way to beat you at any point in time. And if the wind blows in, we got different sayings we kind of use, kind of help these guys with their focus. And we got different things we can kind of pick apart with the other team to try to take advantage of. And I'd say our identity, man, is just not one way that we do it, but probably the best example, like we're super aggressive. We're going to try to inflict our will on you every day in any possible way that we can. But that's who we are. That's who this program's been. That's who we're going to continue to be.
Not to open a wound and dump salt in it, but to that effect, if Texas A&M doesn't have a 6'5" right fielder and the wind's not blowing in, you probably win game 1 against Texas A&M in Omaha with Cade's opposite field shot. And you lose, get swept at Missouri, 3 one-run games, and probably had 18 outs caught at the warning track against that game. But this is it's interesting because Sully's kind of reacted to things that have happened in 16. That's the best team I've ever covered. They go 0-2 in Omaha, and he adds Nick Horvath, who can play center field, can handle the bat a little bit, he makes an incredible play in center field that I don't think anyone else on the team could have made. And he kind of adjusted by getting some two-way guys. And now I think this team, the way that you guys are bunting, hit and run, actually stealing. I don't know how many years Kevin O'Sullivan has told me, hey, we're going to run bases. We're going to steal some bags this year. But if you're relying on the 3-run homer and you're relying on power, hey, let's not potentially waste an out. But you guys, I think, were on pace to steal more bags than you did last year before SEC play started after the first 2 weeks. So it's definitely the way you guys have built this roster is different than a lot of the teams I've covered, but a lot of fun to watch with the way you guys play baseball.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's a lot of work the guys put in, because it's new stuff that we're kind of teaching them too. But that was the plan going into this thing was, when you recruit high school players, you got them for 3 years, you could develop them as a whole, right? Like and we haven't made it kind of our deal to be extremely active in the portal. We've kind of used it to supplement roster with the high-end high school guy. That's kind of what this place has always had success doing. So you don't want to completely rip that off and just take what we've done and had success with and make some little tweaks here or there. And that's kind of helped us put this thing together to where, the depth on this club, and we get the versatility in some of these guys to be able to bounce between the infield and outfield, and kind of some of these guys that have been in our program continuing to develop and figuring out their skill set more and more and how to utilize that better and put them in positions to have success every day. I mean, you learn more about your players every day, man, and trying to figure out what are the best possible scenarios for them to have success, and whether if that's in the box or on the bases in different ways or on the mound. We're trying to develop that and continue to add chinks to the other team as much as we can.
If you don't mind me asking this question, you say you learn about your team every day. I had a question on my little list over here. What did you learn from the Miami game this weekend that you didn't know before that series that's going to help us in SEC play? Well, he's like, man,
didn't like your question.
Yeah,
Probably just lost him. That I wonder what he'll say there, but I like that line. You didn't like your line of questioning. He's out. I think it's interesting because the Miami series happened so early. He'll probably pop him back in here.
Sorry, man. I actually.
Oh man, you came back clear.
Pop Chuck over there. There you go.
You're all good.
Did you hear the question, Chuck?
You got me?
Yeah.
Got you. You're good. Go ahead. You re-ask it, Corey.
Oh, yeah. Let me see if I can word this again. After the Miami series, you say you're learning these guys, right? You learn this team, especially early in the season. What did you learn from the Miami series that you think help us once we get into SEC play and going forward? Is there anything new that you learned about this team from that series?
So, yeah, from this club, it's really guy to guy and them handling the moment. We got a bunch of guys that have come from Texas Tech or Jacksonville University or Stetson. We got a Canadian, right? So seeing these guys handle this environment, I think is very, very important to figure out how they're going to handle these moments moving forward. And, honestly, all those guys, they really handled it as well as you could possibly ask, and it's a big jump from the A-Sun to the SEC, man. It's a big jump from playing Stetson as your rival to playing the University of Miami. That's huge. Mm-hmm. So for each of these guys, it was a good step for them to kind of get their feet underneath them. And, for all of them, the next one will be, we got to play Florida State in midweek on the road, and then the next one after that is, we open SEC play. So like I said, there's levels to this thing. I think as a club, we figured out that, some of these guys in the pen are going to have to continue to grow. And I think they are. I think, C-Rod's getting all the way back, and, Nico Jansen's got his feet wet. Some of these other guys, you learn more each time they go out there, man, and kind of what they can do and what you're going to ask of them.
Okay. Chuck, I got a question for you real quick. Sorry to cut you off, Dan. I just want to know, just personally on a coaching level, what do you think is a better coaching perspective, whether it's a player's coach where the players like the coach, or a more of a disciplinary coach to where you kind of don't want to disappoint them, so you're playing out of kind of fear than out of just for the love of the game? Like, which one do you think works? But I think both have their pros and cons. I just want to get your take on it.
Yeah, I think it's you ever have to be one complete side or the other, man. I mean,
Right, right.
I tried to speak to it as, you know, I got a bunch of guys that I've coached here and that have come here for me. My brother played here from 2004 to 2006. And these guys and my guys here right now, they've poured their blood, sweat, and tears into this place every single day. And my
Right.
job as a coach of them is to make sure that the standard is upheld that they have laid before them. And if I'm not disciplining our guys and I'm not making sure that they're doing the things that are expected, then I'm letting those guys down, right? Like I'm letting
100%.
Cags and Wyatt and BT Riopel and Josh Rivera and all those guys that have come before, and Ben Harrison and Brian Jeroloman and Jeff Corsoletti and Justin Torrey and Nolan Fontana, right? Like I'm letting all
Right.
those guys down if I let our guys just get away with anything. So there's an expectation. There's a way we play baseball here. And there's an expectation for us to play baseball hard. Our guys practice hard. It's a blue-collar program. That's what our program has been. And I think that's why the program has had the success that it's had, because it truly has taken on the personality of the players that come before us and our head coach.
Right.
It's interesting because it's very white-collar results. But if you see, for a lot of people, they probably think, and I know Florida fans have gotten spoiled. I mentioned – there was 2019, Florida didn't go to Omaha. 2020, there was no Omaha. You missed in 21, 22. And I had fans being like, is it time to change the coach? And I was like, dude, there's 300 Division I baseball teams. 8 of them get to play in Omaha. 8. But it is like, that's why I say white collar results. Sully's been there 9 times out of 16 opportunities. You have a better chance of Kevin O'Sullivan's baseball team making it to Omaha than you do of calling heads or tails by flipping a coin, which is crazy. But I think it's white collar results, but probably due to the blue collar effort. And it's funny because you go and you see when we go and I travel on the road and you're sitting with guys and the way they talk about Florida last year, we're up at JU or UNF and they were like trying to figure out what they would do on the mound in the bullpen if they struck out Jack Caglione. And I'm like, this dude is sitting in the bullpen in the second inning, planning for a maybe potential at bat against Jack Caglione and how he would celebrate if he struck him out. And I'm like, buddy, you've been sitting in the bullpen since the first inning. I don't know if your number's getting called tonight. But yeah, just the way that the reputation is certainly earned. But the reputation, you wouldn't think that, okay, these guys are coming to work every day with a lunch pail and rolling their sleeves up. But yeah, you don't win games just by putting the F on your hat and walking out there.
No doubt. They know what it is when they sign up to come here, right? I mean, their goals when they come here initially are, honestly, they've been told that they were really good for a long time, most of them, right? And they want to better themselves and put themselves in a position when they leave here after 2 or 3 years to maximize their opportunity, not just in the draft initially, but to end up being a big leaguer, because that's their ultimate goal. And while they're here, they want to win baseball games. And we talk about it a lot. Like all of them have the goal. They all say it prior to. It is one thing to say you want to win. It's another thing to show that every single day. And I think that's what our older guys, as new guys have come in here, have done a great job of over the last 3 years, is really showing the new guys and continuing to pass it down of how they go about their business. There's no better example I could give you than Jack or Wyatt or some of these guys that have come the past couple of years, man. And just the time they put. When your best players are your hardest workers, and you get what you need.
Yeah. I mean, Wyatt Langford, after fouling the ball off somewhere, then before even being cleared to come back, trying to sneak out of a hotel in Nashville to go take BP when he's not supposed to be taking BP. I've talked with Sully about this. I'm like, when Wyatt Langford in 2022, when Wyatt Langford's your hardest working player, it's tough to be the 19-year-old freshman outfielder and be like, you know what, I'm gonna take today off. And you show up and Wyatt Langford's already drenched in sweat because he was hitting off the tee for an hour before you got there. So when your best players are also your hardest workers, I think that's when you kind of start building that culture.
Yeah, he's the baddest dude in America. There's no other way around it, man. Wyatt would come in and he would hit before our guys would go lift. And our guys lift like 6:45 in the morning. And then I'd be rolling in the office, and I go downstairs, I hear somebody clanging in the cage. Is Wyatt again after lift. And then and then he's asked me what we're gonna do for early work that day before practice starts, right? Like hey man, I've coached some really good players. I've been really lucky to coach them. You know, we've been unbelievably lucky to have 2 generational players in back-to-back years, which is crazy to think we had them on the same team. But just watching the way that dude would go about it every day, there ain't anybody like it. The best, I'll tell you a great Wyatt story is he didn't have many funks that he went through with us. But there was one day we were getting ready to play. I think we were getting ready to play USF in like a midweek game. And before the game, our stars, we go and hit some flips in the cage again, like after batting practice. So like right before we go out in the field, stars just go in. It's like 15 swings or so. And Wyatt was kind of not himself. I don't want to say he's in a funk, but he just wasn't really himself. Like the first 3 balls I flipped him, he like almost hit sideways. Like this dude's never done this before. So we're walking back from the cages to the dugout. I'm like, yo, you good? He's like, yeah, I'm hitting a bomb and a double today. It's like, all right. He goes, I can't worry about anything. I'm good. He's like, I'll get my mind right. I'm hitting a bomb and a double. He hit a bomb and a double. This person bad. He hit a bomb. It was just
That's incredible.
His mind's different, man. That's why he's continued to have the success that he's had. He's a special dude for sure.
Chuck, I want to bring something up. You said a while ago. I was at UF. I was actually there when your brother was there, and a little bit after. And so I was there when they fired Coach and they brought on Kevin O'Sullivan. And I thought it was cool because I grew up with David Kopp, right? And I was like, all right, that's cool. Florida's getting the pitching coach of a guy that I went to high school with. I mean, it's funny that he's on staff now, but going to games in college, they had some games where they were maybe mostly sellouts and in a much smaller stadium.
Stop it. I used to be able to get a legitimate head count during the anthem at McKeith and Dan.
Man, Nick, you're doing a great job finishing my story for me. So anyway, most of the games were like 65% full, maybe at most against the good teams. And so watching where we're at now as a Florida baseball program is incredible. And that was just a couple years after they lost in the College World Series. It's not like Florida was just this dumpster of a program for a long time. It's been awesome to watch the culture build with the fan base as well. And obviously getting 9,000 plus people there on a Saturday is impressive in and of itself. But I want to talk about the culture of just some of the changes in college baseball recently. We talked to a lot of football coaches, basketball coaches on this show, but we haven't had the chance to talk about it from a baseball perspective. And you guys have, your blue collar approach to everything that you're doing. Obviously, you're going out there and getting, players in the transfer portal and everything else. How do you assure that attitude and that mentality is going to transfer over when you're recruiting these guys in the transfer portal to not, upset the apple cart, if you will, when you're bringing them in?
Yeah, really hard, man. Honestly, it's probably the thing that we've been the most reluctant to be as active in the portal initially was that exact concern. And it took a little bit, that 23 team that at the end of that year in 22, that's when we felt like the club was in a good place. I know we lost at home to Oklahoma in a regional, and we had just BT, our first and really only guy in the portal that we had gotten after at that point in time. And then BT ended up ultimately having a lot of success for us. But initially we were bringing him in thinking it was going to be him and Matt Gassetti behind the plate, and kind of Mac was probably the one and BT was probably the two initially. And BT just took the job, and when we realized how mature that dude was, and we got super lucky with him. There's no question in the personality that he had and the leadership that he had. But there were major concerns initially of bringing a flood of guys into the portal because of what you just said and it disrupting the culture that's been built here. And he's always done such a good job recruiting high school players. It's never really been JC dominant either. So it's always have guys for 3 years for the most part, with the exception of the occasional sophomore eligible guy. So, but as time has gone, this is part of college athletics now. If you sit here and you fight it all the time, you're going to get left behind. So to put the best roster together, yes, we are going to continue to build our roster with the high-end high school players. That's what Florida is. We are in the best state in the country for that. There's no doubt. South Florida, there's nothing like it. I don't think. I mean, Tampa's good too. Jacksonville's got good players, but I know where I went, and I know the guys down south, and it's kind of the home of baseball. But at the same time, to be able to have some older guys that you can lean on that have gone through some of these experiences, and like Bobby Boze's got a lot of at-bats, man. He can play a lot of different positions. You just have to lean on your connections and your players to be able to get you the best information of the players that you need to stay away from. Because there's a lot of players in the portal. I'd say there's probably like 40 guys in the portal that could play at the University of Florida and have an impact each year. It's just trying to narrow that down to figure out who are the handful of guys that we're going to bring in that fit our roster. They fit our needs, right? They fit what we need as a club, because you're filling needs when you get in the portal. And they fit us makeup-wise, and they want to come here and win.
There was, real quick, no naming names, but there was a personal conversation, private conversation Chuck and I had. I asked a name, and it was, no, thank you. Like that. And it was kind of like, had already done the homework, knew who this was. No, thank you. We're good.
Was it the old right fielder from Miami, Nick?
No. But certainly.
We had him rattled that game, Chuck.
Someone.
He had 3 places. Sorry to interrupt, Nick, because I know I just chastised you for it.
Yeah.
I had somewhere between 2 and 7 beers before the baseball game, and the right fielder was struggling with it. So we started calling him out. And I'm not kidding you. There was a 3-play stretch in a row where he had a throwing error, a catching error, and something where he like misplayed the ball. It was the most incredible experience of my life. I hope to do it behind home plate Sunday to the Harvard catcher. I got to up my vocab for it, but we're ready to get after it.
Some future hedge fund manager who's just playing a little baseball while at Harvard, and Dan's going to be in his ear.
Oh yeah. I'm going to know everything about him. I'm going to know his girlfriend's mom's name. I'm going to know it all. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
Hey, we got a guy on our roster that's Jacob Gomberg. He came from Douglas. He knows everything about anybody. He went up against rival. In high school. He went up in a travel game against Luke McNeely in a travel game, and Gomberg is running polls. He's not even pitching in the game before the game, and he's chirping at McNeely about his girlfriend. And they were both committed to it. He's wearing them out before they play against each other in a travel game.
Both pitchers never going to face each other.
He got it all figured out. No doubt.
Real quick. So I think BT was kind of, Sully was very hesitant because, like you said, Chuck, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's a proven math problem here. We get the best players, and maybe even later we'll ask you trying to figure out, hey, we have to get a guy like Brady Harris who might not come to campus, but you got to get those guys signed. You're going to get the best players and trying to manage the MLB draft. But I think BT, from a production-wise, what he did, he had the best years of probably his baseball career at Florida, but just a temperament, clubhouse guy, the personality he was, I think that could have gone wrong. If they would have gotten a Nick Delatorre type out of the portal the first time, Kevin O'Sullivan would have slammed the door on the portal. But the kind of person you got on top of the player with BT, I think is probably what opened up Seven's eyes to be like, hey, maybe this thing isn't so bad. But certainly you could have gone the wrong way with a guy like me who would have just enjoyed being in Midtown.
Just the maturity and the comfort of BT, man. It worked out really well for us. And then, our first pitcher was Hurston Waldrop. That didn't suck either.
Not bad either. that didn't suck. Yeah. Sorry, Corey, go ahead.
No, you're good, bro. It's good content there, man. What's your approach on the recruiting trail? This is my last one. What's your approach on the recruiting trail when trying to figure out the mindset of a guy that fits you guys' system? Like, what type of questioning and vetting are you doing in that process?
Well, and tell them too, Chuck, it's how early it starts.
Go ahead.
Tell them too how early that starts.
Yeah, it's changed. So, like, I mean, there's point in time this is going on in 8th, 9th grade, right? So, our process before our rules change is a little ridiculous at times, right? Like, the K curling committee here as an 8th grader. It's really tough to tell, how much toughness he had. I mean, relying on a bunch of people around him and, his folks and kind of his upbringing and obviously the family and the kind of like Gator royalty, man, right? Between his uncle being Brad Culpepper and his whole family kind of come through here. So that was a different one. But honestly, when it comes down to it, it's just like in anything, you got connections that you trust, and that's a big part of it. And you got enough people around the kid, you're going to be able to have enough people to tell you the kid to stay away from or the kid that's going to fit in your program. And Sully's been here for so long that people know what the expectation is here. They have a pretty good idea of the kids that can have success here. There's certain guys that are talented, but they might be a good player somewhere. There's probably not going to be a good player here somewhere. And you try to initially tell them, like, if you are not tough, this league is going to chew you up and spit you out, man. And I think you could probably develop. I think some toughness can be developed in your program over time. Like, I think there's some players that have left here that were significantly tougher than they were when they first walked in our building. But that's something you do really need to try to figure out, because there's a certain level of talent that you need to have success at our level. But from that point forward, it all comes down to makeup. It comes down to being able to handle the moment here. And I think the huge luxury that we have at the University of Florida is we have a lot of really good players. And they compete against each other every single day. They compete against each other in our practices and our inter squads. They compete each other if they're playing ping pong. They compete against each other in the weight room. I mean, if you want to be a big leaguer and that's what you want to be, you got 35 guys pushing you every single day to be that. Like the iron sharpens iron deal, that's our place every day. They know what this place is, man. And if they have a pretty good idea that if this is going to line up for them or if it's not. And I think we try to do that and try to exhibit that early on in the recruiting process, because we don't want to waste their time. They don't want us to waste theirs. And I tell them initially, like, I'm going to be who I am with you throughout this process. And I'm going to tell you about our place and tell you exactly what it's like. Well, there's no smoke and mirrors here, right? And I want the same on the other side of this thing, because I don't want some kid to act completely different with me. Or I get some coach telling me something completely different about the kid than the way he actually is. So I think we got to pull the curtains back and have a pretty good idea of what we're signing up for on both sides of this thing for this relationship and their time here to work out.
I love it.
All right, this is my last one for sure. You're from the 561, man. So I'm interested. Who you grew up cheering for, man, out of the big three?
All right. So I honestly, I went to Auburn University, okay? My grandfather went to Alabama. He was like a huge Bear Bryant fan.
That's tough.
So that was pretty tough at the beginning of this thing when I told my family I was going to go to Auburn. Now, back then, I wanted to go to Florida. This is the school I wanted to go to. But Andy Lopez was the head coach here then. And when Coach Lopez was here, he was heavily recruiting out in the west coast of this thing, right? Mm-hmm. So the majority of the infield came from California. So if you wanted to go to Florida, there's mostly West Coast connections at that point in time. I was recruited by Miami a lot, and I did not want to stay down south. I knew kind of the way that the recruiting was going back then. They recruit 3 shortstops, and one would go to a junior college, one would slide and kind of become a utility guy, the other guy would stick. That's the way it was then. So, and at Florida State, then you had to go to the camp if you wanted to get recruited by them. And my dad was a cop, my mom was a nurse. We couldn't spend all this money, go up to Tallahassee for a few days. That's why I ended up ultimately going out of state. When it was all said and done, this is where I wanted to go from the beginning. It just didn't line up. And then my brother was being recruited by Auburn and by Florida at the same time. Now, he's a little bit of a mama's boy, so he needed to stay closer to home for sure. But it ended up working out for him, though. It ended up working out. He played 3 years here. He got to the big leagues, the Blue Jays. It worked out for sure.
That's funny. 11 was already established enough where he was like, we're not going out recruiting. Tell him to come up to Tallahassee. I don't got to go anywhere. Maybe Mike Martin, rest in peace. But yeah, that's funny you say that. You had to come to Mike to get recruited.
That's the way it was. We had a guy who was I can't remember if he was the 6th or the 8th pick overall in '99 was Bobby Bradley. from a high school team. He literally had to go to the camp to be recruited by Florida State. He's the 8th overall Major League draft.
That's insane.
Oh, man. Well, Chuck, we appreciate you for joining the show. 30 minutes, and we really appreciate that, especially kind of last-minute notice there. We'll be cheering you on. A couple big games this week, and then you guys are welcoming Harvard this weekend. So those games are Friday night, Saturday at 3 p.m., and then Sunday at 1 p.m. Chuck, you'll hear me from the crowd, but I'll try to say hello.
I'll see if I can get down there and
do a little meet and greet.
Do a little meet and greet, get an introduction. But I don't know if Chuck wants to be associated with you before your antics during the game start. It might have to be a post-game meet.
Well, I got to get connected with the Stoneman Douglas guy. I got to get connected to Stoneman Douglas guys, a Coral Springs High grad. We don't put a lot of players into any sort of athletics for both collegiate or professional.
You have to tell Cop that his biggest fan outside of his wife is here on this show. Dan Thompson is always singing Cop's praises as a Coral Springs High. Coral Springs High, Dan?
I think the last real
Coral Springs High legend
player was Max Lazar.
Yeah,
like Max Lazar is the last arm out of Coral Springs. It's gone a good bit. It's a pretty long drive.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't expect it to like change anytime in the future either. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who's got Coral Springs High School on your recruiting chart, but probably not a place you need to visit often. Maybe a check-in, let you guys know, hey, you know, if you guys want to come up, we're playing, I don't know, Harvard this weekend. Maybe we can welcome a visitor or two. But I wouldn't keep it high up there. It's no Stoneman Douglas or really any school for that matter yet. We'll get there.
We got a good pipeline with the rivals, so we'll keep it that way, I think.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know what? For the sake of your guys' baseball future success, just start recruiting Coral Springs High School. I'll know it's maybe time that you guys need to start.
Dan's going to be calling for your job the next time, the next Coral Springs High commit they get. Like, you know what? I think
we're good. Yeah.
I need to change.
Hey, if there's players there, though, we'll go see them. If all of a sudden they pop up and they got players there, we'll be at Coral Springs.
That's right. You know, the past isn't indicative of the future. That's exactly right. But Chuck, we appreciate your time today and best of luck this week and this weekend. And congratulations on a hell of a start to the year.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it'll be fair going to UCF and FAU back to back, man. These next two will be tough for sure, but the boys will be ready.
Boys will be ready. Well, go cheer them on. We talk about you guys each and every week on this show, so we appreciate you and best of luck for the rest of the season.
All right, good deal. Good speaking with you guys.
Thanks, Chuck. All right.
Chuck Jeroloman, great guy. The assistant coaches run a lot of the practice. So Chuck coaches all the infielders and also is the hitting coach. But has done a ton of work with the guys. We're happy to hold on to him until he gets a head coaching job, which, you know, he has certainly earned.
I was going to say, based on his pedigree and everything else, it looks like that might be something that's calling soon for him. So,
sounds like a head coach, man. Impressive cat, man. He's from the 561, man.
He is, but hey, listen, we're trying to keep him here as long as we can. Maybe Kevin O'Sullivan retires after this 9 years, and Chuck's still around. That'd be a good successor. Chuck is a great coach, great guy. He's been really good. I've become good friends with him over the last 6 years. He's been here.
Absolutely. All right, let's get back into it. Stephen Harris, appreciate you joining each and every week into the show. Let's do a quick ad read because we got 2 more to get through before the end of the show. Go visit GameTimeSidekicks.com. Get a cool cup like this one. I think Jordan has one. There it is. It's a sleek one. Yeah.
Okay, too. I don't even have that one yet.
I know. Great products. Great products over at Game Time Sidekicks. Go visit them. Use promo code STADIUM15 at checkout. You get 15% off of your order. Hot drinks hot, cold drinks cold. Great price. Is going to beat all the competitors that are, 30, 40, 50% more expensive. So go visit Game Time Sidekicks. Go support a Gator fan, Tyler, that's living in Knoxville. Great products. So again, GameTimeSidekicks.com. Promo code STADIUM15 will get you 15% off of your order. All right, guys. So we're back into spring practice. We talked a little bit about kind of what the themes and what we want to see. We are going to have some position battles at right tackle, nose tackle, cornerback, wide receiver. Which ones are you guys keeping your most watchful eye on?
Yeah, I think nose tackle is interesting. With Cam and Dez both moving on, I think that's an interesting one. Caleb Banks, can he slide over? I think he's better at defensive tackle, so that's an interesting one to me. And then right tackle. It's very rare that you bring back 4 starters, I think, including an All-American. So you feel really good. Probably left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, and then who's on that right side. So I think those are two that I'm definitely interested in.
Okay.
Yeah, that right tackle.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to chime in on that right tackle. Go ahead, Jordan. You good?
Yeah. For me, I feel like the biggest one for me is the receiver room. I really feel like I'm interested to see what the young guys are going to do in that room. I was there this past weekend. Like I said, I was hearing a lot of chirps about Vernell Brown being that guy. Not necessarily as in he's up in the depth chart, but just watching him work, watching him run sprints and do stuff like that, he's looking like he's taking the leap to kind of be that guy, and he wants it more than a lot of others. But it's a lot of talent in that room, so I'm interested to see what's going to happen and how it all shakes out.
Yeah, that room got everybody buzzing, man. Vernell Brown has been everybody that I talked to, from Zach Aberverdi. We had Tyreek Sapp on. He spoke highly of him. Then you said you was around the team, but the whole room. Nashawn Montgomery is a dog, 5'6" boy. He played down south, but he from here. He was at Newman before he went down south, actually, Jordan. But
okay.
You also was impressed by Dallas Wilson and the way he looked around the program. Yeah, hit us in the group chat. It's like,
he's big.
Speed, size, everything. He definitely passes all the checklist stuff. So
5-star. He's a Stadium and Gale 5-star.
You're right.
Yeah, 100%. That right tackle spot, man, I think it's going to be interesting. Cam Waits is probably going to be there, high on the depth chart, one on the depth chart, just for seniority reasons, right? But I think Caden Jones, from what I'm hearing, just people close to the program, they're expecting big things out of him. West Paul came in as a highly recruited, one of the highest guys they've landed since they've been here. So that position right there is going to be the one that I'm watching the most. There's some other spots like cornerback, but that right tackle spot, I think our offensive line is going to be one of our strengths, which is a flip from when this regime first got here, right? And also the Rob Sell slander and all of that stuff. I think the offensive line could be a strength, and if Caden Jones could turn into what they think he could be, I think we can have a special group right there, man. We'll see how it all plays out.
I'll tell you this, from talking to Billy, Tyler, Rob, Jonathan DeCoster, they think they have landed everything. Recruiting offensive lines, a lot of projection. Mm-hmm. And I was even going back to like Martez Ivy. I remember going up to watch Martez Ivy playing. I'm like, of course he's a 5-star. He's blocking some 212-pound defensive end. Why wouldn't he be a 5-star? And then he develops into a player. There's a lot of projection that you have to do. They think they absolutely crushed it the last 2 recruiting cycles in terms of offensive linemen. I'm not the last 2. I would say 23 and 24. The guys that they've had on campus. They think they nailed it. It just takes time. And everyone likes to throw, who is the dude up at Colorado, that offensive lineman? Jordan Seaton. They're like, you keep saying freshmen can't play. Here's one. I go, how many offensive linemen signed Division I schools? And you're going to give me the one guy. You're talking about the exception, not the rule. It takes time to develop offensive linemen. But I do enjoy hearing the same 4 names over and over again whenever I say that. But they think they nailed it, and now you're getting to the point where they're redshirt freshmen or they're redshirt sophomores, like a Caden Jones. He's been in the program now for 2 years, going into I believe this is his 3rd spring. A guy like that you're looking like, okay, hey, now's your time. 3rd year, going into your 3rd year. This is the time where if you're not competing for a starting job or not in that mix, you might want to look at the spring portal, but I think, a guy like Peyton Jones, like you said, Silk, is someone who they're really high on. And that right tackle spot, open auditions this spring. That job is there to be won.
Yeah, no, there's some great competition. There's a lot of guys, right behind that one deep, and your two deep and three deep that, might be playing at some other schools as well. So it does feel nice to not go into this upcoming season without question marks at the offensive line position. We've had them ever since this show started, right? So almost 6 years. Offensive line has been an issue that we've consistently talked about needing to be improved. And it does seem maybe they didn't get the 5-star, and would still love to see that and that kind of that generational player. But we saw some massive improvements over the last few years on the offensive line. And I think that Florida can now be confident about what they have as an option at that, at really a lot of different positions. You probably now have that desired 9 to 10 guys that you feel comfortable with. I mean, you're going to feel more comfortable with some than the others, but this is going to be really the first time I can remember that Florida really truly has some real depth at that position. And the transfer portal day and age, it's a pretty impressive feat. And it does say a lot about Jonathan DeCoster and Rob Sale for as much heat as Rob Sale's gotten.
No doubt. Like my man Dan Glockner said down there, man, y'all smash that like button, man. It's free.
Absolutely. And then what do you guys expect at the cornerback position? Florida's
like Nick started off that we was like banged up, so I'm interested to hear what he said. But we just banged up. I think it's an opportunity for Cormani to get some reps. The young boys, Jameer Grimsley.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Cormani just this week joined the 23-mile-an-hour club. So the boy is skating, running, and he's you talk about guys who are in that club that's like an Aiden Mizell, a Tank. Cormani's much bigger than both of those two.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's a good opportunity. Like put Devin Moore in bubble wrap. Like we know what he can do a little bit. He hasn't been healthy since his junior year in high school. Put him in bubble wrap. Let him ride the bicycle all spring. You know what I'm saying?
No. You might get blisters. Might get really black. Blisters get infected. Listen, come on.
Yeah.
Just in a hyperbolic chamber.
Hyperbaric chamber. A hyperbolic chamber would be one of our sarcasm. Yeah. An exaggeration. Nick is sometimes in a hyperbolic chamber. But
words, bro.
That's the name of the show, Hyperbolic Chamber. I need everybody to know that. They're going to be like, what on earth?
That's hilarious. But I think it's an opportunity for the young boys just to get reps, and we can see how they shake out. Because I do think that other is open. I know we got Dijon Mustard kind of aligned for that CB2 spot, the other corner. But I think Money brings a different type of skill set. I think he's a very talented kid. I want to see what Foster's at. Hank's coming in. I don't think he's coming just to chill. So it's an opportunity for the young boys to get a lot of reps and to see who's going to be. So we can see what we got.
Yeah.
Because the older guys need to be in bubble wrap.
For sure.
Whenever you say that, I'm always reminded, it was one of my first years. And when Dominic Easley came back for his senior year, and I think that was like knee injury stuff. But when he came back for his senior year, Jordan would have loved this practice for his senior year. Spring for Dominic Easley was you get the first rep, go grab your helmet, go stand off to the side with the rest of the coaches. D. Easley would get a rep to start everything. Team run, Jordan. Might as well have had a headset on. My guy number 2 was just cooling on the sideline. That was some like I would look at him and like, oh, he's getting the seniority treatment.
Right, I was about to say, but everybody's active.
I haven't seen it a lot, but that might be what we need Demo to have. Hey, man.
No, for sure.
Just need you to be healthy, my guy.
Yeah. I'm in bubble wrap.
Yeah, no, you have some depth and you have some young guys there, and the opportunity to see what's happened between the end of last season and this upcoming season. But Jameer Grimsley was a highly recruited guy. Teddy Foster was a guy that they thought very highly of in that recruiting class. And then, obviously you add Cormani McLean into that mix. You add Ben Hanks into that group. You have a lot of different potential opportunities here. You don't have a ton of playing time. You lose Jakeem Jackson, who's probably going to be slated to play this year. He's out most of last year with injury. You lose Jason Marshall. So now here's an opportunity for these young guys to step up. And, I think that Florida now has, hopefully some depth that can carry that over. I do think the fact that they were so injured towards the end of last season, gave some guys like Cormani McLean, even Jameer Gimsley, and who else? I know Teddy Foster played in the pole game. I'm forgetting a name, but an opportunity to get some true legitimate playing time last year as well. So hopeful there. And then wide receiver, kind of last position group. You bring in J. Michael Stordevant. You lose Elijah Badger. You lose Shim DK out of that group. You get Aiden Mizell. You get Wilson back. You have the additions of VB3 and Nashon Montgomery. The guy
Wilson.
that trains. I'm sorry.
Dallas Wilson and that.
Dallas
receiver.
Wilson, the guy that was committed to Arizona, whose name I'm forgetting right now, but there's going to be that one guy in our chat to be like, why aren't you talking about Muse Tankara? So Muse Tankara,
Muse
right?
isn't here. He didn't. We when we were talking about spring and we mention him, he's not on campus.
Yeah, we don't have
he won't be here until the summer. We're talking about spring. Moise Tankara he's not enrolled yet. Still in high school. Nothing wrong with that.
The team is going to play into fall. But yeah, and then is this a year that you finally get some breaking out from some of these guys? And we saw what Aiden Mizell can do at times. We saw what Trey Wilson can do, but now it's a matter of putting it together for the full season and hopefully avoiding injuries and truly replacing a lot of production that's gone. 1,700 yards or so between Badger and DK there. So a lot of opportunity, but a lot of talent. Now it's just a matter of converting it over to the football field.
The running back room as well. You're replacing Montreal, but we kind of already got a glimpse into Jaden Ball, a guy that nobody outside of Jacoby Jackson's mom was talking about in terms of the running back room last year. Jacoby Jackson, I think, earned the number 2 job when spring opens on Thursday. Mm-hmm. Tran Webb still coming back from his injury, the surgery he had. What does KD Daniels look like with more opportunity? And shout out to KD Daniels because I know schools were hitting him up when the portal opened. My guy, listen, we would have given you carries your freshman year. What are you doing over there? Come on, we got a spot for you. Stay true to his commitment. He's back. You've really got 4 horses in that running back room. And that's another one too. I'm surprised Jordan diversified his portfolio. And I was waiting for him to say running back was the room he was waiting to watch. But that's another room filled with talent.
That's automatic, though. That's
What's understood doesn't need to be stated.
All right. Any more thoughts? Well, like I said, early in the show about an hour ago, we've got practice that starts on Thursday, Saturday, and then Tuesday. So we'll get a digest after the Thursday and Saturday practice. Nick will be out there for most, if not all of the practices for most, if not all of the time that he's out there with his new role. So hopefully we'll be able to share some insights and what he's allowed to share. Hopefully we can share with you all. That brings us to the end of that. We've got, you guys want to play our little fantasy land competition that we had?
Let's do it.
We want to move it. All right. Well, let's knock through this.
How long have we been kicking this down the
3 weeks.
Can down the road?
We can't kick it to next week because we're not going to play the game with DJ Lagley. You know what I mean?
No,
all right.
No.
Go give a quick visit to our friends over at Alumni Hall, alumnihall.com. If you didn't use the promo code in February, you can't use it now. So go visit them. Still great products. All the sports at the University of Florida, golfing, polos, and accessories. It's about that time of the year where you break out your stick and balls if you live up north. So they ship to you online. Go visit them. If you're looking for Mother's Day gift, that's coming up in the not too distant future. Father's Day, they have ties there. If you want to get your dad a pair of socks or a tie, whatever you might need for the loved one in your life, go visit alumnihall.com. Alumnihall.com on Archer Road, kind of near that Chick-fil-A that has 3 drive-thrus in it. All right, guys, we're going to play a game. This is something we talked about a few weeks ago. I called it Fantasy Land. That's a stupid title, but that's just what I wrote down here as. If you could pick one coach in Gator history, can't be a head coach, but one coach you would add to this roster this year, who would it be?
Are they in their current form or are they in their peak?
They're in their peak.
Okay.
You're in their peak. So you have to hire him. You can't be like Urban Meyer for offensive coordinator. You know what I mean? And you say like Bob Stoops could be the defense coordinator. Dan Mullen could be the offense coordinator. Not a bad guess, but that's kind of the rules that we have to play by here.
Give me a Dazio.
For
offensive line coach.
Okay. I'm still remembering the 1 year he was OC, and my goodness, the fullback dive has never been used that much.
No,
Dazio, I think, recruited the position at the highest level as any other offensive line coach at UF. We had a good offensive line at that time, so just Dazio, bro. I think in his peak, a part of this regime, we'd be getting the top dogs. Man, he could recruit with the best, and the offensive line play was on point.
Yeah.
I think I'll veto what somebody said in the chat. I'm with Brad Davis. I kind of got to experience him firsthand, and feel like he was a real solid dude, real solid coach, and kind of got the best out of all his players. So I think from my O-line, I'll rock out with Brad Davis.
I think I remember I talked to him a little bit when he was here, and then ran into him up in Columbia, Missouri when I was down in the field pregame. Ran into him down the field in Baton Rouge pregame. I'm like, my guy's just staying in the SEC. He can clearly coach. He can clearly coach. He can clearly recruit. I'm going to go with Will Muschamp as defensive coordinator and recruiting coordinator.
Oh, Nick, we just played this game. We just said you can't bring them back. They have to be in the position they were at the University of Florida. Now, if you say Will Muschamp,
he was the safeties coach.
So then you could say Will Muschamp for safeties coach.
Will Muschamp for safeties coach and calling plays.
Okay. I tried to put the rules out there at the beginning because I knew
I'm
something.
I'm going to try to bend the rules if they seem bendable.
Yeah. No, we've got to run a tight ship here. You know what I mean?
I don't like that. I
know.
All right, Will Muschamp for safeties coach. He's also going to be my play caller.
Okay. On defense.
Okay.
I'm going to try to stick more to the letter of the law in this game. I'm going to go with my boy Doc Holliday, who was U.S. DB coach back in the 2006 era. Chuck Keeter was there as well, but Doc Holliday, I think actually was more safeties and associate head coach. He left after a couple of years, became the head coach at Marshall, but just an absolute menace as a coach, as a developer. So I'm going to go with Doc Holliday for that one. All right. What player from all time?
Did Corey you won?
Yeah. He said Steve Adazio.
That's right. That's
me?
Yeah.
I said Steve.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Nick said Will Muschamp. I'm going to allow it, Nick, but we're not going to. We got
to safety.
Yeah, I know, but we got no. So Dan, we know that Doc's retired. It's not matter of like we could have picked like somebody that had passed as well. You're bringing them back in their prime. Dan Quinn's a good one.
Great
here as well. That's a great pick.
Would have been my DC.
You could have picked him as your DC too. You know what I mean? And then we wouldn't have had the whole anyway. All right, what player from all time, we're going to do offense, defense, and special teams. What one player in UF history would you add to the offense? We'll start with you, Corey.
What player would I add to the offense?
Yeah, in their prime.
Aaron Hernandez.
Okay.
Chico.
Great pick.
He might be a little dangerous, but
yeah.
You know, we're gonna get buckets, baby, at the tight end spot.
Jordan? Nick? Anybody?
Offense. Shoot. if we're thinking about like right tackle, I'm thinking like one of these offensive linemen, I can just like plug in that right tackle right now. But dog, hard to go a different way. I would like to go Tebow, but I think DJ Lagway's that dude. So I'm giving DJ a weapon. Number 1, Percy Harvin. Line.
Yeah.
Silk named someone who had many weapons. I named an actual human weapon. Line Percy up in the slot outside. Percy's returning kicks. Percy's returning punts. Percy's in the backfield taking
in motion a lot with Billy.
Oh my God. Yeah. Percy is running a marathon every Saturday in pre-snap motion, but we got to get the ball in his hands.
I like that. It's a great pick, Nick.
Thank you.
Jordan, what about you, brother? Is audio still out?
Jordan's picking Jordan.
No, I think his audio. I think he's having audio issues. I had written down Percy Harvin as well. But for sake of just overall conversation
he
here.
Put offense from Tebow. Jordan Scarlett put in the chat.
They put Tebow?
Audio. Yeah.
I mean, Tim Tebow, it's hard to compete against Tim Tebow. I would say, add in, a Riedel Anthony and Ike Hilliard. Ike Hilliard was that guy back in the day too. So I'll go with Ike Hilliard just to give you that true number 1 wide receiver right there. But Percy Harvin, Aaron Hernandez, obviously great picks. They're on defense. Who you guys going with? Jordan picked Dante Fowler.
Dante was a freak. You can go. How far back do we want to go? I feel like we get.
I'm going to start. I'm going to go with the eraser, Mr. Reggie Nelson, the other number 1. We're going to get him. I think that, 30% of the water or 30% of the earth is covered by land. The other 70% is covered by Reggie Nelson.
Other way around.
Yeah, I know, but whatever. I try.
Tight ship, man. Tight ship here. We're on a tight ship.
I trust Reggie Nelson to cover 70% of the earth. I did it on purpose. There's more responsibility on this team. I'm going to go Reggie Nelson.
I'm going to go Javon Curse. I think Javon Curse can still put pads on and get after the quarterback. There's a lot of guys on the Florida defense, but I'm going to go with the freak.
Yeah, man. We just talked about easily. Give me easily, man. Dominique, man, one of the best get-offs, I would say, as a defensive lineman in the swamp, man. So give me.
You remember him? His senior year, he was like dancing in between snaps, and then all of a sudden, his hands in the ground. And he's still the first off the line. I'm like, dude, my guy was doing the Mambo number 5 during the huddle, and all of a sudden, he's in the backfield.
Yeah, freakish.
Yeah, I also thought about Carlos Dunlap. Carlos was a beast back in the day. You could even add a Brandon Spikes to give you. That dog in the middle of the field. A lot of great players to choose from.
Bro, we had a run of middle linebackers. I was just thinking about it with when I was talking to David Reese about him coming back. And I remember when David Reese got the snippet.
Shout out to that. I like that.
It was still weird. It was still new to early enroll. And I think it was Antonio Morrison. And they literally just sent David Reese in spring practice. They were like, hey, see number 3? Just follow him. Monkey see, monkey do what he does. And I remember like Antonio Morrison completely took this freshman under his wing. And we went from like Antonio Morrison, Alex Anzalone, Jared Davis, David Reese. It was just a run.
They had Brandon Spikes right before that. They had Channing Crowder before that. Like it was just an
Earl Everett was there. Like you just had some dogs at middle linebacker. And it was a run of guys. I like the room now. I wonder if we have some guys like that. But yeah, shout out to David Reese coming back. My guy. I literally had to call him on the phone and be like, hey, man, I don't know what company you've used, but there is nothing about you online. And I would like to know for this story where you've been since you graduated the University of Florida. But yeah, he is looking to get his coaching career really underway. He was at Indiana, at Eastern Michigan. He had just gone to Wright State to be an on-field coach before Billy snapped him up. It'd be interesting to see because he's working with Mike P in the edges, not with Ron in the middle linebackers. But the guy knows football. You could probably have him with the offensive line. He'd figure it out.
Absolutely. No, it's
Good addition by Billy, man. I know we've been getting young with a lot of these spots, but you're getting a guy that bled on that field at the same spot. You know, you got two guys that bled at coaching that position, but on the recruiting trail, whatever it may be, he understands the standard and all of that stuff. And was a leader of men while he was here as a player. Like, he had great leadership qualities, man. So good addition to the team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Finally, special teams. That could be kicker, punter, kick returner, or punt returner, or long snapper, I guess, if you want to play that game.
I'm gonna go deep. I know everybody's gonna say Chris Rainey and
you're gonna say number one.
Yeah, let me get Bo Carroll.
Oh, okay. Like Bo
5'6" guy.
No. Bo not 5'6", but Bo was like Olympic speed type vibes, man.
Number 2, right? I think.
Yeah. I mean, Bo Carroll.
Yeah, I brought up a name the other day, Marcus Manson. He never really did much at UF, but I was like, man, that's a deep dig into UF football, running back lore. That the smile Jordan has. He's like, I know the name. He's like, I thought, yeah. Jordan, you had Eddie P.
Yeah, I'll go with my boy Eddie, man. He's the first and last dude I've ever seen to hear his name chanted as he used to come out for kicks. Y'all name me another one who has that, and I'll change my dude. But for now, it's Eddie P, man. He from the crib, Miami boy. But yeah, Eddie was an amazing
Odell
Odell Kickham.
Right, I'm telling you, the whole
yeah, I forgot about that. Odell
He
Kickham.
changed his name to that, bro. Like,
sad to say, I was a part of that offense that couldn't get in the end zone, but
Good Lord,
we used to look forward to Eddie because we would get in the red zone, and it gets tough down there. Everybody who plays football knows it gets tough in the red zone, especially when you're not a successful offense overall. So, yeah, Eddie was a lot of highlights for a lot of my career, sadly, but yeah.
Hey, hell of a story, man. He played soccer growing up, and then I think he went to Miami-Dade College, got into kicking, flipped him from Alabama. He had videos in Nick Saban's car and everything. I mean, I don't know how many kickers have been in Nick Saban's car in the Maybach. Probably not a ton. But sure. It was incredible. Great run, still kicking in the NFL. Nick.
I would like to go with either the Townsends. Johnny was the igniter of the Punisher People 2 movement for me. Speaking of Jordan's not successful offense, Jordan wasn't here yet, but Johnny punted 86 times in one season. That's when I was tweeting out the Jack Nicholas, here's Johnny GIFs. But I'm going to go with the only Ray Guy Award winner in school history. Kyle Christie. Oh, not Kyle Christie. Excuse me.
Wow.
Chaz Henry. Kyle Christie.
Yeah.
Kyle Christie was runner-up in 12. But,
I was going to say
Chaz Henry was runner-up in 09 and then won it in 2010. And I believe 2010 was the year he also kicked the field goal to beat Georgia. It was around that time.
Yeah, that's when he drove Grantham.
Yep, he made Grantham choke. He made Grantham choke.
He knew before we did, you know?
The best award in college football, the only winner at the University of Florida, and the only award that lets me vote for it, the Ray Guy Award.
That was a great night for me, man. I was hanging with some Georgia fans that night, bro. Halloween. It was Halloween weekend, like always with Georgia. And my man hit that field goal because he was punting. He wasn't even our field goal kicker. We were struggling with field goals all year. So Grantham's hitting it. He's about to choke. And, man, Chaz hit that thing through the uprights and ran towards Georgia's sideline doing it was just a magical night, bro.
Gotta love a punter with some swagger.
100%.
Absolutely. Spencer already said it in the chat. Brandon James is my pick. Just an incredible elite kick returner and punt returner. Saw a bunch, obviously, in college. I remember we went up to the Florida-Tennessee game in 2008 in Knoxville, and Brandon James returned a kick for a touchdown very early on in the game, completely took the wins out of ourselves. Florida beat the crap out of them. But Chaz Henry is a good pick too. A lot of people you could have picked. I mean, there's just
I think Brandon James has multiple punt and or kick returns against Tennessee. He might not be allowed in the city of Knoxville for the way he treated Tennessee for 3 or 4 years.
They got his face on the Welcome to Tennessee sign. Morning man.
All right, last question here. If you were picking the jerseys for a single game in their history, which jersey are you picking? It can be a combination. It can be one of the alternates that they wore.
Swamp green jersey.
Yeah,
swamp green jersey. Nick, you don't mean that. Go ahead, Jordan.
Jordan, you played in the ugly things, right? You was in the swamp greens.
Yeah, no, I actually wasn't, but I'm glad I missed it.
Oh, yeah, you missed it.
The year.
Jordan's like, I'm glad there's no photographic evidence of me in that jersey.
That was the year before you, Jordan?
No, I actually was being a bad boy that year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't talked about that. Yeah, we'll skip that.
Yeah.
Honestly, good decision.
Right. But it was our fault for the trash. I mean, you lose 2 of your best impact players. That's what the season will look like. So yeah. But my favorite combos, I see somebody already said it here in the comments. I love the all white, but with the white helmets as well, with the old school Gator F on there.
Okay.
That's my
Are we playing like EA college football? We can mix and match, or does it
yeah,
have to be
dude, you can. I'm telling you, you get to pick whatever you want. Like if you want to pick,
seems loose.
Yeah,
ship seems loose here.
No, the ship's tight. I said any combo that you want to wear. I said it doesn't have to be a combo that they've worn. You have to pick the exact game. You of all of the combinations of helmets and shirts and pants, you can pick whatever you want.
Yeah, I think I'm rocking with that though. All white with the Florida blue, white helmet with the Florida blue F. That's
like the new one with like the what do they call it? The
I think we wore it against
F?
Georgia
Fast
last
F.
year. Yeah, the little fast F. Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a white, blue, white. Which we've seen. I'm not even playing around.
That's a good combo.
White lid with the Gator script.
Okay.
Blue jersey, white pants.
Okay. All right.
I think Jordan rocked those.
Yeah, for sure.
Mac wouldn't let the guys wear a sweatband, but had no problem putting white helmets, blue helmets, anything. But
he probably
heaven forbid
Nike, you know what I mean?
Heaven forbid you look different by wearing a sweatband. Unless you're one of the guys, like Jordan said, in the inner circle, you're allowed to wear a visor. But yeah, heaven forbid you wore an arm sleeve. But Mac was down down to mess up with the jerseys, and I miss those white helmets. My goodness, those were
clean.
Yeah, I'm with. I was gonna go against the grain, try to get a little tricky with it, but that all white is just my favorite uniform, bro. Like
it's just stormtroopers.
Yeah, stormtrooper. It's nice. It's clean. I'm gonna go. It was my freshman year of college at 06 year. They're celebrating 100 years of football. It's a blue jersey with the orange and white stripe. If you're looking, I think they played Alabama in that game, whatever it was. But that one with the white helmet had a circle with the old school F there in the white pants. I just thought that was the cleanest jersey ever. And still look at pictures, be like, man, that's just beautiful. Glad nobody picked the 05 year where they had the blue jerseys with the one orange sleeve.
Tate Casey, I think, got rid of that jersey. Tate Casey is trying to find his 84 Georgia Nike Pro Combat. That's what it was. It was Nike Pro Combat.
Oh, dude.
Trying to find his one orange sleeve. But, Dan, that's a good call out because I think your pick, Reggie Nelson, had a pick 6 in those jerseys against Alabama that game.
There's just something clean about it. They just looked really like traditionally strong. It was bold. I don't know. That was a beautiful uniform.
That was the helmet I was thinking about going with because when they've done the homecoming ones in the past, it's been the F, but it's had the circle around it. And the one you're talking about was just the F. There's no circle around it.
Yeah.
Super clean look.
It was just a really cool. I thought that they would break them out maybe another time. I know you only wear, you only have your 100-year anniversary one time, but you also only have one additional game, right, every other time. So would love to see them break that back down with some of the old historical stuff. Somebody mentioned the interlocking U and F logo.
I like that, but that to me that's
on CFB 25. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can, but to me that's like a baseball thing, and like it's on this hat. Oh no, not on that hat. Home field has another hat. To me, that's like a baseball thing. Like the interlocking UF, would look good on baseball.
Yeah.
I don't like the fast F at all.
I'm not a big fan. I don't love the lean in. I liked the old traditional F at the middle of the field.
Yep.
I didn't like when they moved to the fast F. I like the more historical and traditional. Not that I'm against progress, big fan of progress. Moving forward and realizing that not all fonts work and you have to stay up to date. But I think it's time for them to move on. So just a fun little game there. Fun little game. Let's give some shout outs. Basketball, they did unfortunately just a very weird game against Georgia, go down by 26, end up taking the lead late in the game, but they do end up losing. Just not a great game overall, especially from a defensive perspective in the first half, and then just missed a lot of free throws in that game, but did come back a couple of days later over the weekend and played Texas A&M, who is the number 12 team in the country. Just looked great in that game. Will Richard looked absolutely phenomenal in that game. So the Gators will play Alabama this week. I believe that game is on Wednesday, if I remember correctly. So that game is coming up in the near future. Yep, that's going to be on Wednesday. Women's softball team continue. Go ahead. Women's softball team continues to do really well this season. Right now, they are 23-1. Let's just run through this. Baseball is 11-1. Basketball is 25-4. Men's basketball, women's basketball is 14-16. Gymnastics is 8-3. They are ranked number 4 in the country. Now, lacrosse is starting off a little slower than they normally do. They're 3-2. Softball 23-1. Men's swimming and diving is 4-4. Women's is 6-2. Men's tennis is 8-5. Women's tennis is 3-5. And we are just now going to be getting into outdoor track season in the not too distant future. The Gators reached 25 wins in basketball for just the third time in history. And then Walter Clayton is selected as a finalist for the Bob Cousy Point Guard of the Year award himself. So congratulations to him. If you want to vote on Walter Clayton to be the Bob Cousy Point Guard of the Year, you can go to hoophallawards.com. Voting is open until March the 7th.
And real quick, correct me if I'm wrong. So I know that did Will and Walt come in the same year or no? Because Will came in like Todd had just gotten here. And it's kind of cool to see like where the program was when Todd took over, like an NIT kind of program, and to kind of how they've built it. Todd has built it with, a lot of portal guys. And I think in the interim, but like you look at this recruiting class that they have coming in and the signings they have, I think they're getting more into the relationships. It takes a while, but they've utilized the portal so well. And when you look at Elijah Martin, Walter Clayton, and Will Richard, like that core that they have all through the portal. Walton will have been here, but Elijah's certainly having a year himself. Mm-hmm. They're fun. You look at Alex Condon, Tommy Hawk, and then the international recruiting they've done. Condon's international, Urban Klasvar, he's starting to play a little bit. I think through these injuries, you've really seen how deep this team can be. Mm-hmm. They're certainly a ton of fun to watch. A huge game at Alabama on Wednesday in terms of seeding for the SEC tournament, in terms of continuing to try to fight for a number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. I was talking to Neil Blackman at basketball on Saturday. I said, you think if we gave Todd Golden truth serum, he would say like, yeah, I expected to be here before the year. And he said, Todd loved this team. I don't know if he would have said, yeah, I think we're a number 1 seed, but he would have said we're a top 3 seed in the tournament. And this
I don't know if I agree. and not that I'm calling you a liar. I know Todd was hype on this team when I talked to him before the season started. And I know it's a long show. We'll wrap up here in a second. But when I talked to him before the season, and we touched a little bit off the record about it, so I'm not going to say exactly what he said, but I think he thought this team would be maybe not as athletic as the team last year. He thought that their continuity and their just overall team chemistry was going to be a lot better. I don't know if back then he would have thought that they were a 2 or a 3 seed. And so the fact that they're this far into the season with just 4 losses and 3 of them are against for sure tournament teams. And then Georgia's, on that bubble. I don't think that they're going to ultimately make it, but they're not bad losses. There's some losses that you want to take back because of how they ended up working out, right? Like that Georgia loss, like you should have never been down 26. It's great that they fought back, and we've got to make sure, that the team doesn't get down. But they also seem to play really well against competition that's at their level or above. So, continue to get hype. And I would imagine the NCAA tournament, kind of like what Chuck was saying, if you can't get hype for the college basketball tournament, then we're not going to win. But I love where Florida has been able to compete against teams that are going to probably make it deeper into the tournament. And as long as they can do that, I mean, this is a team that's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah. And again, really cool content we shot Sunday, editing it this week. But something cool for those 3 senior guards. Fun team. They play well together. And it's been a while since we've been sitting here in March getting like this excited for the NCAA tournament when it comes to Florida basketball. So it's good to feel that again.
Absolutely.
This is what Billy Donovan died for, baby.
He's still alive and kicking.
Sacrifice. It's a religious, parallel and joke. Sacrifice. Really sacrifice for it, bro. Like, we've won back-to-backs here, done some historic things. We do not deserve Mike Whites in our facility, stinking it up.
He's a really nice guy.
Corey was being hyperbolic, Nick. All right, guys, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. All right, next Monday we won't have a live show here on YouTube. It'll be the first time on a Tuesday morning you don't see the show pop up. If you're listening on the podcast, that's okay. There's great content coming. We'll be back the following week. Go visit DJ Lagway 2. Come hang out with us. DJLagway2.com. Come hang out with us next week from 6 to 9 at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Gainesville. We appreciate you guys. And if you're at the baseball game, I think we'll be around on Sunday, and then we'll be around Gainesville this weekend. So hopefully we run into you guys. We appreciate you guys.
And real quick about the DJ event, 100% of the proceeds from that, tickets, anything, 100% of the proceeds are going to charity, going to UF Health. I know DJ has announced that, but when you log in and you see what the price is for the ticket, he's raising money for UF Health.
Yeah. No, that's great. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you at the same corner, same time next week. And hit the like button. It is free. Thank you, Gravy Biscuits.
Gravy Biscuits. Oh, man.
Shout out to Gravy Biscuits. Go visit DJLagway2.com. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Share it with your friends and family. And we'll see you guys same corner, same time next week.